We've got a bunch of parts written now, and it's time to start thinking about an arrangement. I've purposely written everything inside of one scene and kept it kind of easy because actually Maschine is so fast, it's very simple and normal to kind of write everything quickly in one scene. In fact, if I wasn't explaining these processes, I could have probably written this in less than 5 minutes. So the first thing to look at is we have all of our different patterns in all these different groups. We need to start kind of fleshing out the idea of a song. So first I want to hit Shift Scene and switch over to Ideas View again, just to kind of let you know that this still exists. Even though I prefer to write in the arranger, the scenes in Ideas View is a smart way of working actually. So especially if you have Machine Jam, where you can see all these different patterns where we've created, a 4 on the floor. We've got all the different variations of our drums and a couple different string patterns and a couple different arpeggiated lines and a bass line. So we can kind of come in here and pick and choose, which ones we want when. And you can easily just do the mouse. You can right click on each pattern. This is one way you might actually want to work with the mouse if you don't have Machine Jam specifically. But one thing in Ideas View is you still have to kind of know what group you're focused on if you're going to do it from the hardware in order what patterns you're going to choose. Okay? So for this reason, I kind of just like working in Arrangement View. This is really just my take on it, but the reason Ideas View exists is because there are going to be some major updates to how the arranger works, and as far as maybe being more of a linear timeline. So all of your little kind of looping scenes should be written inside of this Ideas View, and then later when you're ready to hash out the song, it would make sense to kind of move over to the arranger. So until these updates come, we're just going to kind of focus on it as it is. So what I'm going to do is kind of start to strip away some of this stuff. If I hold on pattern, let's see here, scene 1, pattern, let's not delete, but just remove some of these patterns we wrote, because I want to kind of just start with some simple drums and pattern 1 to start. Okay, so this is just a 4 on the floor. Very easy. Now, one thing I like to do is come to scene 2 and then maybe hit pattern 2, scene 3, pattern 3, etc. So you can kind of start to just kind of come in, and especially with the drums, they start to progress. They become more sophisticated as time goes on, and then this kind of, might start to be something like my hook. This is obviously my intro. So I can right click right there, rename. I can also, again, color code everything should I need, etc. Now, maybe in this scene you say, well, I don't want it to be just a 2-bar loop of a kick pattern. Like I want to kind of, maybe come in with a spooky pad or, like a filtered vocal or something. So you can actually change the length right here. Auto is the default. It's going to set to as long as the pattern is. But I can just come in and say, you know what? I want my 4 on the floor to be going on for 8 bars. Like that. And then we could come to scene 2 and select something else, etc. So you can kind of start to imagine how everything you want to be. Okay? So maybe at this point we actually tease that bass line. Who knows? Not sure yet. But you can kind of play with it as you need. Now, an important thing to note here is that the synth bass was recorded in a 4-bar pattern. My drum pattern 2 was created with just kick, open hi-hat in a 2-bar pattern. And what you can see is it automatically loops inside of this 4-bar scene, because the longest pattern inside of a scene is going to dictate how long that scene is. Okay? That's always going to be the rule of thumb there. So let's go there. Let's maybe just introduce the bass line there. I'm not sure. We can adjust this all later. We're not stuck into any kind of simple way of thinking here. And let's add that again. And then in scene 6, we will go create that pattern again and introduce our arpeggiated line. Now you can also just go into the scenes and duplicate the scenes. So now I have the same exact thing, except now I want to add in the bass line. So you can see how quickly you can kind of come in. And because this is going to be my main hook, maybe we'll make this a little bit longer. Now again, I can't see what I'm doing, so hold Shift, navigate, and you can kind of see. One thing you can do is hold Shift and then turn the encoder if you want to scroll through your entire arrangement here. And another thing you can do is while you're holding down scene, or while you have scene pinned, I can hold one scene and another scene, and basically will play everything within that range. You can see here, just a small amount, maybe just these two, or the whole thing all together. And then now it'll play back. So over time now we can actually see what's happening and how the song is going to progress. Now, one thing to note about Maschine's arranger. What if I wanted, this is now an 8-bar section. What if I wanted, before I get to scene 2, which is labeled scene 3 here, I wanted a reverse hi-hat to come in here. So, or a reverse cymbal. The easiest way to do this, if you were using a DAW, would be maybe you come into your browser, you select your sample. Let's actually go find one. Okay. Let's go one-shots. Let's go drums. Cymbal. Nope, we don't want to do that. We want to go one-shots, sweep and swell. That might even work. So let's go ahead and actually put this, you know what? We're going to put that in our drum group since it's kind of a, no, we're not. We're just going to, let's make an effects group. Why not? Here we go, effects. So let's go ahead and put this here. And what you would do normally is if this was a WAV file, you would just come in and put the WAV file exactly where you want on the timeline. However, you can't do that inside of Maschine, so you have to put it on a pad and you have to sequence that pad, right? So that means we have to make a pattern. Oops, not there. Let's undo. Let's come to scene 1 and make a pattern. Now, if I want it to only play one time, I have to now make this pattern 8 bars. And now I have to make sure that the reverse sweep is going to hit right when the downbeat comes. So this is easier said than done, right? This is one of the things that people get confused about and maybe complain about Maschine is, like, how am I going to do this? And this is one of the instances where I'll actually use the mouse, because I know essentially I just kind of want it here at the end. And let's just scroll through so we can get there quicker and hope it lines up on time. Nope, see, too early. So maybe we'll just kind of get in here and move it. And maybe I actually want it longer though. So one thing I can do to make it longer is maybe tune it down. And let's see if that ends up. Nope, see, still too short. So this is kind of annoying, to say the least. That works. Okay, so now as I would go from sections, let's just go back a little bit and let's see how that transition works. It does, but you see how much time that takes as opposed to doing that. So believe me, as you start to create more complex arrangements, you will get fast enough and understand how to manipulate these patterns to really do what you want.